Welcome. This is our parental information evening for the spring term. I hope you all had a lovely break if you managed to get one. It's that period of the year where it doesn't feel much like a break, but it's definitely nice to spend some time with the family, certainly for me. I hope you're all well. I just wanted to go through what we're going to cover today in the evening presentation. So I'm going to remind us of some key dates. I will have covered this before in the previous meeting, but just it's nice to have a timely reminder. We're going to we'll go over the CHS Scholar. I apologise, I'm trying to do two things at once here, letting people in. We'll go over some of the CHS Scholar learning habits that we're focusing on at the moment. Some of these will definitely be new to Year 7 parents. They're certainly new to the students. We will look again at the key school drives in terms of code of conduct as a reminder. The big thing, and it's going to be towards the end of the presentation, I know it's number 4 on there, will be progress test information. I will share with you the effort criteria we use as a school. I know you've already seen this in terms of reporting. You'll have received some reports from us in the autumn term that had effort in there, but you can kind of see what we look at in terms of effort criteria and why that's important. We'll look at the assessment and reporting process that will follow the progress tests. And then finally, I say finally, this will be done before progress test information, but we will look at the personal development curriculum, the character curriculum at Chorlton High School, and the kind of things that students are covering and have covered, including the careers aspect of our offer also. So we'll get started. I'm Amy Henderson, for those that don't know me already. I'm one of the assistant head teachers at Chorlton High School. I oversee transition, but I also oversee Year 7. So I work really closely with the year group. They're an absolute joy to be part of. They have settled in like no other year group, I would argue, really making the most of their time, I feel like, at Chorlton High School so far. They've been really impressive, so thank you for that. So key dates. Obviously, it is progress test fortnight coming up. I know you received communication about this already. That will start on Monday. I think the date might be wrong on there. Monday, I think it's Monday the 13th. Sorry, I am going to check that because I don't want to get my dates wrong. Yeah, the date is wrong on there. It'll start on Monday the 13th and then it'll go through for 2 weeks. So it'll be next week and the week after that. So they'll do progress tests over those 2 weeks in all of their subjects. In English, maths and science, that has been timetabled for Year 7. And I'll explain a little bit more about how their other subjects are timetabled as well. And then they have parents' evening. You have parents' evening rather on Thursday, the 9th of May. You will receive communication about all of that in advance. So please don't worry about any of those dates. All communication will be sent to you in advance of it. So more information to follow there, really. So CHS Scholar reminders. So from the last parent session, we talked a lot about organisation and attention, and these are kind of our two main CHS Scholar habits. I think I've got another date wrong, so apologies. Let me just check that date on is the parents' evening date? Yeah, it'll be the 8th. Let me just check it though, so I'm not giving you misinformation. I don't know what I've done with the dates on this PowerPoint. Apparently I've not looked very carefully at them. Yeah, it's the 8th. I apologise. So that's the 8th. But again, don't worry too much about that. That'll all be sent out via communication to yourselves in advance, well in advance. So you'll have that information on how to book, etc. for parents' evening. So CHS Scholar, thank you to the parent that's just raised that as well. CHS Scholar, so last term even, we focused really closely on the organising attention habit. And I have to say how incredible certainly organised, the organisation of exercise books has been. They really have, worked hard to make sure they have exercise books they're proud of. That shows their work rate, that shows their what they're learning. It's been incredible. So, I can see that the kids are taking so much pride in that. You see it when they, come to the CHS Scholar stands and they're showing off their books. it's been incredible. So I know I don't really need to harp too much on that, because I know that the kids are really working well with their exercise books, and how they're using them is incredible. In terms of stationery, that has kind of waned a little bit. We definitely need our students to make sure that they've got the essentials of a pen, pencil and ruler. And additionally, we like to see them have a little glue stick with them. They're constantly receiving sheets and things, and it's better for them to have that organised in their books and glued in. We obviously do give them that as well if they need it. And highlighters, just to make sure they're highlighting that key information. I think the big thing about the exercise book, and a big reminder of the exercise books, is that they are routinely revisiting them, going over previous learning before lessons. It's just really powerful. Now, we obviously revisit previous learning as part of our kind of lesson model at the start of lessons, but it's nice for them to have kind of revisited their exercise books in advance. In terms of attention, we know that students, what they're paying attention to is what they learn, and it's just making sure that they are getting them good night's sleep. All the research tells us that certainly in year 7 they need about 11 to 12 hours sleep a night, which is an early bedtime for a lot of our year 7s, but it's definitely helpful, and that they are asking questions, and what a year group it is in terms of the questions that they ask. They're so thoughtful, they constantly are curious, and that's something we love to see, and that they're getting involved in answering questions as well. So they're kind of the main ones that we've looked at, and we've kind of then introduced a little bit more. So we focused on read and making sure that they are reading routinely, 20 minutes a day, ideally, that it becomes part of their every kind of day habits. That's really, really important. And the year group are very, very good at using our library. They're incredible, actually, at using our library. We have had a bit of a flood in the library over the Christmas period. We're definitely on with fixing that. But the books, in terms of taking out books, it's still there for students to do that. We also have an online library. Students have all been kind of taught how to use that online library as part of their library sessions. But, we do deliver books to students during registration. We will deliver books that have been ordered through that library as well, through the online library. So, please encourage them to get on there, and they can access that through their Teams page, through their year team page. And it's a really good thing for them to do. So the kind of other one is collaborate and communicate. It's really nice to use that, use that kind of scholar habit, we call it, but use that at home in terms of having conversations, talking through things with your child, might be during dinner time. Reading is also a really good way of developing that communication and collaboration habit in terms of empathy, but really getting them talking. They are incredible at paired work and group work. As someone that has the absolute joy of teaching a year 7 class this year, it's really good to see how well they do communicate with one another and with us as the adults as well. So I feel like that's been met really, really well. Obviously, home study is becoming quite a big thing over the last kind of few weeks of half term, and certainly this week. They'll be preparing for their progress tests in terms of revision, making sure that they have a space that is, quiet and ordered is really powerful to allow them to do that, and just getting into good routines with that. We do spend a lot of form times in this run up to progress test teaching students how to revise, and we focus in the first set of progress tests on mind maps, but making sure that they kind of understand what that looks like, and it's the process really is about them finding out what works best for them. Obviously, all revision habits have their revision techniques, even have their place and for different subjects, different revision techniques are better than others. What we try to do at Cheltenham High School is spend time on kind of breaking that down, just so it's not so overwhelming as they move through the school. So we have asked them to focus predominantly on mind maps, but if they want to try something else, that's also obviously okay. But making sure that they've got that space at home, that they are revisiting their exercise books, they're going through that they're looking at that study planner that comes as part of their progress test information, and looking at the knowledge that is being tested on, and going back to that where they maybe don't feel as secure. That's just a really powerful way of mastering that home study habit. Literacy legend, we routinely talk about reading. Reading is just it's just really, really powerful in terms of everything from empathy to vocabulary building, making sure they're going through the vocabulary glossaries at the back of their exercise books, and learning those key words that they're writing down there. It's just a really good habit to get them into, to develop that kind of learning and literacy. So that's our CHS Scholar, and they're the main kind of habits that we've been working on with the students over the course of the term, and will continue to work on over the course of this term. And in terms of our code of conduct, it's really simple to remember, and I'm sure every child in year 7 can tell you what our code of conduct is, because it's 3 things. We ask our students to be ready, to be respectful, and to be safe. It's all based around mutual respect for one another and being kind. We have an incredibly large community at school, and we're really proud of that community. And it's important that our parents and carers can mirror our messages at home, and expect the highest standards of things like organisation, being prepared, safety, and respect for one another and one another's differences as well. We're an incredible community at Charlton High School, incredibly diverse community, and respecting each other is a really big part of that, an important part of that, and something that we pride ourselves on, really. Students will often hear this, or the kind of 3 main messages, as the big 3. So the big 3 things that we ask them to really kind of think about on a daily basis in terms of being ready, it's about their uniform, making sure that they're not just wearing all of our uniform, but they're wearing it with pride. Their shirts are tucked in, their ties are correctly tied, they've got their blazers, they're wearing them around the building, they're wearing the shoes that the black trainers or black shoes that we expect. Just making sure that they're showing that pride when they come to school, and I have to say, the vast majority of students do that really, really well. In terms of being respectful, hands to yourself, year 7 is that year where students still kind of have that tactile kind of play, and whilst that is lovely to see, it can be a source of conflict sometimes, and that's why we ask kind of purely, we keep our hands to ourselves. We don't know how comfortable other people feel with with that. So it's really important that we just keep our hands to ourselves, and that includes the friendships, and that is where generally we have to kind of correct students on that. It's the grabbing and the hugging of each other. Whilst that kind of is very innocent in lots of ways, it's something that can create problems, and therefore that we ask for students to be respectful of one another and keep their hands to themselves. The other kind of big thing in terms of the big 3 is being safe, is keeping to the left. Now, we have a large building at Charlton High School. Corridors aren't that large, they're quite narrow. So walking on the left is really important in terms of the flow of the building. But not just walking on the left, making sure we're doing that sensibly. We are also thinking about our noise levels, especially as we move into kind of the next couple of weeks, when we know there are going to be lots of progress tests going on around the building. Breaks and lunches are at different times for different year groups. So there are times, in fact, there are at all times, there is learning going on in the building when we have a break or a lunch, which is why, keeping to the left, making sure you're doing, walking around the building with a respectful kind of level of voice as you're talking with your friends. We don't expect silent corridors. We want our students to be characters, and they are, and we love that about them. but making sure we're really kind of thoughtful about what's also going on in the building is really important. And parents support this all the time, and we appreciate it. We very much appreciate it. So, but in terms of how you can support it, making sure that they've got their uniform ready the night before, and ensuring they look smart when they leave the house, because even if that doesn't always translate to when they get to school, it means that we can work with that when they get to school, because I'm sure we can make them look smart again in terms of having those conversations, and making sure that their bags got everything they need in terms of equipment. And if there is something that they need that they haven't got, or maybe we need to support you and students with, please do speak to Miss Banton, the head of year. We are happy to support. We know that students who wear their uniform with pride feel like part of our school community, and it just enables them to flourish. It takes away that thought process the night before. It just makes everything kind of much smoother for them, and that's why we think that's a really important thing. I've gone through this a little bit, so I will move on with that one. And movement around the school also we've talked a lot about, so I'm going to move on. There are other important conversations that we can have in terms of setting up their day, having that evening routine, making sure they've checked, they've done the home learning, the uniforms ready, the bags ready, that they're arriving to school for 8:20 before, make sure they've got time to do that. Ideally, they're having breakfast before, but if that's not the case, we do offer a small breakfast when they get there, so they're welcome to partake in that. Every student's welcome to do so. But also kind of making sure that students get that digital detox each and every day. Now, obviously, school is a no phone zone, that should say, and reminding them of that we expect phones if they bring them to school. Ideally, they don't, but we know that that's not always the case for students, and that's fine. But when they are at school, that those phones are kept in their bags all day. Now, in terms of phones, we obviously do, if we do see a phone out, they are confiscated, and then they're given back to them via student services at the end of the day. That's not something that we like to do, and therefore it is an important conversation to have with your child. Attendance and punctuality, we understand that not every child can achieve 100% attendance, especially with the current illnesses that feel like they're going around rapidly at the moment. But we want them to attend as often as they can. It's just, we know that attendance is the biggest indicator of student success, and therefore we just want to make sure that they're in our building learning, as often as possible. So we do really put a big value on attendance, because, also being part of our community every day is just, it's a good feeling for them, and it helps them to develop. Okay, so personal development. So as part of our kind of personal development offer, we have it in kind of twofold. So we've got our Respect curriculum that kind of looks at the national curriculum expectations of personal development. But we also have a character curriculum that takes part in form time. The last half term, they've looked at three of our qualities of success. So they've looked at motivation, what helps us be motivated, why motivation is important. They've looked at empathy. Some of the charity drives, I have to say, have just been incredible, emotional for some of us, to be honest. They've just been so generous and so empathetic and so knowledgeable as well about the things that they've been driving. That's really been building with their empathy. But we've looked at empathy in lots of different guises, and reflection. So they're the three main qualities of success that we've looked at as part of last term. And as part of that, they have kind of been, they've been able to be awarded, we call it the badges, but the Future Foundations, we have 6 over the course of the year, and they can collect all 6 badges. And we expect all of them to collect all 6 badges as well, because we do give time to this informed time. But they're rewarded with, the first one was I Embrace Life and Prepare to Succeed, because we feel like that's a really good kind of transitional one, where we, you know, we encourage students to really get involved in school. And then last half term, it was I Support My Community and Make a Difference to it. So, you know, we've really thought about where these are placed within the year, so we can really move through. But the charity drives raising awareness and help for refugees this last half term was just fabulous. Coming up, year 7 will continue to learn about the politics of success. That will run throughout actually all 5 years. They'll be exploring the quality of practice as they aim to gain their accreditation for the future foundations in spring 1, which is I Explore Life, I Take a Deep Breath, Go for it and Respond to it with Imagination. Students will learn about how to reflect on their first term at Chorlton High, how to embed their scholar habits, you know, their conduct, their character habits, to ensure that they are successful, creative and happy. So that's going to be what's coming up in the next kind of the coming half term, and that's the badge that they'll be working on. Now obviously they are preparing to succeed in terms of progress tests. They're doing so much this half term that helps them kind of focus on this kind of accreditation. It would be a shame to not see every single one of them achieve it. And in terms of kind of other things, we launched, like I said, we launched the Quality Success and Future Foundations last half term. It's all about them developing a range of different character skills that we know they need as they move through life. And one of the key things around our quality success is they are all employability skills. So all the time that we're looking at, you know, the different badges, we're looking at the different qualities of success, we are looking at those kind of future skills that students need to make sure they're showing, really. Students have also begun to learn about careers relevant to different subject areas. So within their subject journeys, they look at careers as part of that. And actually, they've been taking part in charitable drives, as I've mentioned, using their enterprise skills. But coming up, we have a kind of larger focus on careers as part of National Careers Week. So they will definitely be taking part in something that's focused on developing their knowledge of a range of possible careers available to them. You know, one of the things that we know is that the career possibly that your child's going to have in year 7 doesn't exist yet. That's kind of, you know, that's the world we live in at the moment. So it's really important that they know what's kind of possible for them, but actually that we're developing those core skills, those core character skills all the way through, because they are transferable to whatever that career might look like as they move into the, you know, the real world, which is changing. It feels daily at the moment. We have our Future Frontiers Week, which will look at local labour market information and the career and industry areas that are predicted to grow in Greater Manchester over the coming years. So we really kind of are doing that research. We're really thinking about what some of those careers might look like. Where are the areas of careers kind of growing, and what does that look like in Manchester specifically? So we'll look at that with students this term. And then over the spring and summer terms, all students will also have an employer encounter, which is a representative from the world of work. So all of that is planned in to take place because we take that kind of future career stuff really seriously, and it goes all the way through from year 7 to year 8, year 9, year 10, and obviously then through to year 11. So, but the core of careers and the core of those employability skills are our qualities of success. And like I said, we've already looked, I think, at 3 so far, and that will grow over the course of this term also. Okay, so this is the big kind of focus for the meeting. So progress tests, obviously, it's not obvious at all, so I take that back. Progress tests at Chorlton High School, we do 2 cycles of them. So we have 1 cycle in the spring term and 1 cycle in the summer term. Now we're about to head into the spring term tests, which will test the learning cycle 1. and then the summer term will test learning cycle 2. So we're about to complete our first set of progress tests for year 7. I will move on because you don't need to know about year 11. But these tests will take place from Monday the 13th of January till Friday the 31st of January. And it's really important that you understand how what students have been given and how we've worked with them over the kind of last 2 weeks of the last half term, and we continue to work with them this week as well, and into progress tests also. So they're given a home study booklet, which has loads of space for them to put in their tests to make sure that they know when they are, to write out a kind of useful revision timetable. Have I got another date wrong? It's possible that I have. Let me just check the dates. Sorry, I must have had a nightmare when I planned this. You are right. It's the 24th of January. Apologies. Thank goodness for parents. I don't know what I've done when I planned this, so I apologise. It's usually the week later, so the tests are earlier this year, and it's made everything feel a little bit odd. So yeah, it is the 24th. But so they've been given a booklet, and on this booklet they can have space for the test. But what you'll notice is in yellow at the side of each week are a list of subjects. So that them subjects will be tested within that week of their timetable. So whilst we haven't put, for example, let's say art on the timetable, that's because in year 7 we might have students doing art at 5 different times over the course of that week. And by that, they only have art once. So if your art period, for example, is Monday period 5 on the week, that's when your art test will be. So they can fill it out using their timetable. So what we did in form time is we gave them their timetables, and then they could then go, okay, so if art is in this first week, then it's taking place Monday period 5. Or if drama is in this first week and I've got that Wednesday period 2, I know that's when that's taking place. So that's how we've done it in terms of students. So they know when each subject is taking place. So the only real exception to that is, I've just seen that some people have not received the booklet. I might get back to you personally because that shouldn't be the case. So leave that with me at the end, and I'll chat back to you personally on that one. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought. So we know that this one subject that doesn't kind of work this way. Apologies. Is anyone else having problems with sound? I've got a few people that are having problems with sound. If your child, or sound seems to be good for most people, so I'm not sure if it's from my end. If your child hasn't received the booklet yet, please can you ask them tonight to come see me personally tomorrow, and I'll get that sorted for them, because it definitely shouldn't be the case, and so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. So please can I ask for them to come see me personally? I'm in the lineup every single day in the morning, so they see me every morning, much to their dismay, because I'm always the one checking uniform. But please just get them to come speak to me, because I will definitely get that sorted for them as soon as possible. So I'm not sure why that's happened, but yeah, so the exception is MFL. So Spanish and French, the way that they do it is they do it over the course of both weeks, because they kind of have practice, but they do it individually, the students individually, and they can't do that in 1 hour. It's not enough time to test each student individually. So they have things planned around that. But that's really the only exception, is that they'll do that over the course of 2 weeks. But one of the main things that I want to point out, just so parents are aware, we also within subjects have a preparation lesson for progress tests. So for example, as an English teacher, the lesson before they do their progress test, I will kind of almost go through a little bit of it's not a mock, because I'll walk them through it, but I'll walk them through the process of it. Just so, yes, the knowledge is in the study booklet, but actually how they do that and, respond to it, that sometimes can be part of their anxiety. So we do help them through that. And I have spoken to students about that, and I'll continue to do that on Friday during assembly. But it's really important that students know we will help them through this. This isn't about parents having loads to do, and I have to kind of highlight that, bold that. This is about students kind of learning the process of revision, and that might not be really effective in the first set of progress tests, because actually they might actually go, I don't actually find this very easy, and I struggled with this part of it, and this is all part of the learning curve. So I just want to reassure parents, yes, progress tests are important in the sense that as a teacher you get to know where the strengths are for each student and where you need to work on, and you know what you need to go back to and recover, or you know, change how you teach certain aspects of it. But this is all about, this is about a growth process as well. So they might struggle with revision, you know, and actually at 12 that's not that doesn't feel like an unfair thing to say. It probably is quite difficult, but that's part of the process. Part of the process is that they do struggle, and it's something that they learn from, and we can kind of then hone that in the next set of progress tests as we move forward. So I think that's just something to really be mindful of as a parent. I think it can be you know, you want to make sure you sit down with your child and they do X, Y, and Z, but actually part of that is them taking a bit of independence in that as well, and also knowing where that maybe hasn't worked, and being able to support them from a school side. And we do, you know, form time it's all around progress tests. It's all around making sure that they're supported, and this is an ongoing process that they will, you know, they will come across twice every year over the 5 years. So please, I don't want you to worry too much about if your child struggled with revision. My biggest piece of advice is that mind maps are what they're focused on. If they actually, I think on the next slide I might have a bit more of a clearer thing, so let me move on. So they're given this information about each subject, so it has kind of what they need to know, keywords, and what we've asked students to do and what we've gone through with them is kind of a ragging process about each of the different areas. Where when I read that, do I feel confident? Yeah, I'm going to highlight that in green. I'm okay. I know most of it, but I don't know if I don't feel like, yes, I definitely got all of this. I'm going to highlight that in amber. And obviously then red, I've no idea. I really don't feel confident there. We'd say highlight that in red, or they can just use R, A, and G. And what we ask students to do is prioritize then the broken down aspects. What I wouldn't want a student to do is, in English, for example, try and do all of it in one night. That's just, it's not effective revision either. I would want them to thank you. Yeah, you can download the booklet from the website. It is there. Thank you for that. I would want them really to focus in, and so if I was taking like that one highlighted red highlighted bullet point, that would be what I'd want to make my mind map on. And that lots of that information should be in their exercise books. Where that's not the case, you know, it can be available on the knowledge organisers, but also there are obviously, you know, the virtual kind of platforms available to them as well. That's how I would say it. So if for example on my study timetable I want to look at English, I want to look at science, and I want to look at RE tonight, I wouldn't want them to be looking at all of English. I just want them to be taking kind of one key thing out of it, and maybe only doing 20 minutes on English, 20 minutes on science, an aspect of science. So they're really breaking it down for themselves, because otherwise it's just too much, it's too overwhelming, and that's just not useful time. So again, that's one of the things that we, you know, we really do highlight with students, but it's something that takes time to learn, and that's why we go through this process with them. On our website, someone's helpfully just put the information there, but on our website I've highlighted it, so it says on there students. If you click on that tab, the first one is the home study support. And if you click on that, that will take you through. If you scroll down, it will take you through to all of the progress test information that students have been given. So you can get the planner, you can get you can get the booklet with all kind of subject information in. That's all there for you. So if you did want to look at it, that's available. But also, if your child wants to look at it, if they go onto the Charlton High website, which you can literally just Google and it'll come up, and you click on that, that's how you get to it, and it's all there. Equally though, I'm going to come back to this question in a second. Equally though, it's on MS Teams as well. So if they go into their year group Teams, there's a home study click there. I think the website's easier to use for that personally. So in terms of revision, we would be wanting them to be doing about 45 minutes of revision a day. But however, what we also really think is important for students is that it fits around their lives. They are very busy people and have better social calendars than I certainly do, it feels like. So yeah, I feel like if that's not possible, it's what's working for students. Some students don't need to do that because they've got quite a lot of confidence in what they're doing. It's a recommendation, it's not an expectation. So I think that's the key thing that I would say there. Yeah, so if you go on, this is what you'll see. So you'll see tabs for the progress test, for the home study planner, and for some knowledge organisers as well. So on that site, there's everything available to them that you can do. I'm going to come back to that. In terms of what we do then, so obviously you'll get, and I'm going to play a video at the end, and I'm playing it at the end because I'm going to play it through, but we do record this, so you're welcome to watch it. It'll be played, you'll be able to hear it, but equally, you're welcome to kind of look at it in your own time. It'll be on the website in the next few days. But when we give you the information for progress tests, we also give you an effort grade, and that's really important because effort is the thing we really drive. Now that grid says 2022, but it's not changed since then, which is why the date's not changed on it. And what we say is if students are doing everything that we ask them to do, in terms of the scholar habits, in terms of code of conduct, in terms of in terms of the way that they complete things in class, if they're doing what teachers are asking them to do, then that is exactly all they need to be doing. It's not about what they're achieving necessarily on this set of progress tests, because the idea is that they are progressing all the way through. What we know and what has been proven is those students that continue to give us this excellent effort are the students that kind of travel further in terms of success. So that's why we think that this is a really, really important indicator, and actually for parents, the most important indicator. If you're unable to access the booklet, go through the website because you'll get the booklet straight away. I'm going to come back to a question on there. Let me just check. This last slide is a video. This tells you what assessment and reporting looks like and just helps you understand it a little bit more, because it's actually a really important document that you'll get from us after the progress test. So just what's on there, what it all means, we thought that would be really important. Thank you for attending this evening. We also send this information out in a written form as well. But if you want to watch it now, you can watch it now. Thank you very much.
Hello. Welcome to this presentation on assessment at Key Stage 3 at Charlton High School. This presentation is aimed at both students and parents and will help you understand the way that we assess and report in years 7, 8 and 9. My name is Mr. Dawson. I am one of the Deputy Head Teachers here at CHS, and part of my role is working to improve the curriculum and the assessment of the curriculum. At Key Stage 3, we are changing the way that we do things. These changes are mainly to do with how we assess and what we report home to parents. We have replaced our old system which was based on reporting progress of students. We believe our new system is much better as it focuses on judging how well a student knows the curriculum in each subject. We are looking in detail at how the student is performing in key concepts in each subject, and more on this later. So to start us off, we have a question. What exactly is a curriculum? So a curriculum is made up of all the knowledge, skills and experiences that students will learn and be able to do across each of their subjects. At Chorlton High School, this is represented as a 5-year learning journey across each subject. Our aim is for students to become knowledge rich and move from novice to expert in each subject. In other words, it is everything that is taught and hopefully learned in each classroom at Chorlton High School. So what knowledge is in the curriculum? Knowledge is what students need to be able to be successful in their academic studies, and knowledge in the curriculum can be broken down into 2 main types. These are called declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge. Declarative knowledge is the what. It is the facts, the concepts, or the rules. Procedural knowledge is the how. It produces some kind of action. It is following the steps of a process. Procedural knowledge can also be conditional, meaning it relies on knowledge that has come before. Another way to think of things is that declarative knowledge is key ideas, and procedural knowledge is using, applying, and critiquing them. So what we are going to do is to ask students' teachers about the knowledge that the students have gained in all of their subjects, and ask them the question, how well have you learned the curriculum? How well have the students learned the curriculum? Therefore, this will be a judgment of how much knowledge, both declarative and procedural, students have gained over time. To do this, we are going to assign one of the 5 words you see here to each student in each subject. These words are emerging, developing, secure, extending, and exceptional. The words and what they mean will be slightly different in each subject as the knowledge and skills needed for each subject differ. I'll now go into more detail on what each of the words mean in general terms. The first word to look at is emerging. A student working at this level has some knowledge and an emerging understanding of key concepts in the curriculum. An emerging student will find that learning is a challenge and that the subject content is difficult most of the time. They need to focus on practicing and learning key concepts so they can move to the next stage, which is developing. A student working at this level is developing their knowledge as outlined in the curriculum. They are developing the understanding of the key concepts, however, they're not yet secure in these. A student here will find lessons hard sometimes, but will be able to grasp many, but probably not all of the key concepts. They will make mistakes, but this is all part of the learning journey as they try to get their knowledge to be secure. And a student working at this level is secure in their knowledge. They have mastered key concepts and would get things right the majority of the time. All students should be aiming for their knowledge to be at least secure, as this will mean they are on target in their Key Stage 3 studies to have a solid foundation of knowledge at the start of their GCSE studies in Year 10. If their knowledge remains secure in Years 10 and Year 11, they will be looking at gaining Grade 5s and access to many of the courses that they want to study at college. A student who would like to specialise in a certain area should be aiming for their knowledge to be more than secure and extending. So a student working at this level is very secure in their knowledge. They are demonstrating that they have a greater depth of understanding and can apply and manipulate knowledge in key concepts. Students at this level often find that they are easily able to recall their knowledge and they learn things relatively easily, especially new things. They are accurate almost all of the time and are often reaching the extension activities in class. If a student maintains their knowledge at this level, they should be looking at studying the subject perhaps beyond Year 11, as they are capable of very high grades indeed. If a student's level is even beyond this level, the student's knowledge will be deemed as exceptional. And a student working at this level is excelling in a level that is exceptional. They display excellent knowledge, application, and the interplay of the key concepts that together demonstrate an academic flair for the subject. Students at this level are incredibly able in a certain discipline and are always quick and always accurate. This is a level that will only be reached by 1 to 2% of our student population, and students at this level should be looking at targeting grade 9s, which is the highest grade in their Year 11 studies. So what happens over time? As students move through Key Stage 3, the curriculum will also change as it gets broader and more challenging, and our aim is for all students to be at least secure in their knowledge in all subjects. Our teachers work really hard to deliver lessons that enable students to have this knowledge, and they also work tirelessly to support students who will have emerging or developing knowledge. Students who reach extending will be those who put in the extra work often outside the classroom in their home learning and home study, as we know that hard work and focused revision often pays off. So how do we make our judgments? Each subject area in every year group will have their own criteria for the 5 words that we are using to assess the student's knowledge. These will be sent home with any reports to parents, and I'll give you an example in a moment. Teachers will use a variety of evidence to judge where a student's knowledge is up to. They will use a number of factors that are listed here, and one of our large pieces of evidence of a student's performance are our progress tests that take place in the spring 1 half term and the summer 2 half terms. However, we understand that there's more to a student's knowledge than just replicating it on a test, and we take a balanced view of test performance together with the student's ability to communicate their ideas and thoughts through work produced in class and at home, or question answers and conversations had with students in class. Students will get their Key Stage 3 report in the Spring 2 and Summer 2 half terms, and they will look similar to the example shown here. We have a new system for reporting, and this is not yet set up, so we are aiming to send something that looks roughly like what you can see here. There are 3 main parts to reading the table. The first is to look at the curriculum statement for each subject, and the other 2 pieces of information are the effort grades, one for effort in class and the other for effort at home. I will revisit this table later, but I want to spend a little while giving you an example of how to look at the curriculum statements and how to use the effort grades effectively. And of course, there will be more subjects than just these few that I am showing here. So here's an example of what you may get from each subject. This information, as I said earlier, will be sent home with the reports and will also be available to view on the school website. This is Year 7 and it is food and nutrition, food technology. In red here, this is what has been taught over the course of Year 7 in food. It's broken down into knowledge and skills. Below, you'll see a number of statements that detail what the knowledge judgments look like. I have highlighted this secure knowledge in a yellow box to show what it means to be secure in food in Year 7. What you will see when you look at these sentences is that the more independent the student is, the further right their judgment will be. Class teachers will also help the students understand how to move their knowledge from developing to secure or from secure to extending. They will revisit knowledge toolkits used in most lessons. They will refer to personalised learning checklists that are used in many areas after progress tests to identify a student's individual strengths or areas to concentrate on, and they may direct some specific areas for home learning. Accompanying the curriculum statements, as I mentioned earlier, would be effort, and here is our effort grid. This details what we deem to be the skills and traits demonstrated by our students that will enable them to be CHS scholars. This grid again is on our website in the assessment and reporting area, so you can look at it in more detail then should you wish. Effort grades go from 4, which is poor effort, to 3, which is where effort requires improvement, to 2, which we deem as good effort, to 1, which is excellent effort. The top 8 rows are to do with effort in the classroom, and the bottom 3 rows that are shaded slightly darker are to do for effort in home learning. These Effort descriptors are a group of learning and organisational behaviours that will lead to students being a success. And many of these behaviours are things that our students do on a daily basis and have been doing for many, many years. Excellent effort in the blue column is attainable for the majority of students in all they do. For example, they need to arrive promptly and fully equipped to every lesson. They need to show the right focus in lessons by sitting up straight, tracking the teacher, asking and answering questions, and showing respect to others. Student books should be exceptional, with new vocabulary written down and defined, and work presented so that the book can almost be used as a revision aid. Excellent effort by a student is also demonstrating listening skills, working collaboratively as a team, and responding well to feedback. Excellent effort in home learning is similar, but applying these same skills to work completed at home and, of course, handing work in on time. The reason that I talk in detail about effort is that it's something that we are working on all the time in school. Form tutors and the year teams regularly revisit aspects of effort, and we'll go into great detail in one area at once, helping the student to understand just what is expected of them in all lessons. Teachers also reinforce the learning behaviours so they become habits, and the students will do them without thinking. And in my opinion, they are the most important part of the report because there are clear things that we can do in order to help students improve. So let's go back to the example report that I showed earlier. This student has clearly done well in most subjects and has a talent for drama with the effort grades on the curriculum statement of extending. But the student hasn't done so well in science or maths. Could this be that effort in class is not as good as it could be? The student here can put the effort into other subjects, so what's going on? I would certainly have a conversation with the child. Firstly, I would talk about the effort and get the students to think about what they are trying in their subjects that they're doing well in, and are they applying the same effort, the same behaviours, the same habits to their maths and science? Or perhaps maybe the student hasn't grasped some of the concepts in maths and science. So it would be worth to look back at the curricula in these subjects and look at the breakdown of what's been taught and whether the student has grasped it. This will also be supported by the class teacher. So the reports here help guide the support for the student learning. Some students may see these curriculum statements in their effort and be able to work independently on improvement in a few of their areas. Some students may require some support from parents, from teachers or form tutors. All of this is absolutely okay. It's part of the learning process to get the students at Key Stage 3 ready for further subject studies at Key Stage 4. If you would like to know more, please visit the assessment and reporting section of the school website, where all this information will eventually be stored. At the moment, it's under construction, but there'll be much more information on there early to mid-January. That's all from me for the time being. Can I thank you for your time listening to this presentation and, of course, for your continuing support of all of our students. Goodbye.